Slave virtues have survival value. Obedience, humility, forgiveness, and patience are good for slaves. And those are the traits slaves will drill into their children if they want them to survive. Over time, the slave virtues become cultural values.
Without a change to how children are taught, we're going to have to get rid of the Second Amendment. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Got a good story for you today. Talking about the differences between the way Democrats and Republicans see guns. That one side sees the fear of the gun itself, and the other side sees the fear of giving up the gun will be giving up their freedom. And that's unbelievably true. I don't see a point in history where someone's given up their gun rights and it worked out for them. So let's roll into it. The House Judiciary Committee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security held a hearing Thursday on finding a solution to gun violence, and the difference of opinion between Democrats and Republicans was put on full display. Passions ran high given the sensitivity of the issue involved, as liberal lawmakers focused on weapons and conservatives focused on people who used them. We have a group of people who are afraid of things and think if they create enough laws and if they change enough things around them, make the spaces safe enough around them, that then you won't have bad people doing bad things. And if we could just get rid of the bad stuff and we can make all of the perfect laws, then our lives will be super safe and secure forever. And that's unfortunately never been the case. There are cities in our country right now where guns are illegal and there's still high rates of gun deaths. Representative Louis Gohmert, Republican Texas, a former judge who handled felony cases, was in the latter group and focused on the need to instill morality in people, citing Judeo-Christian principles. America and all the values and all the freedom that it offers to everyone of the world is because of Judeo-Christian values, not because of atheism, not because of communism, not because of even capitalism for that matter. None of the isms is the reason why, but because of freedom. The freedom to be human. The freedom that you should own land, you should have your freedom of speech, you should have the right to protect you and your family. These are very simple rights, and those rights come from biblical beliefs. He went so far as to say it is the bedrock of the nation's founding principles, and that the effectiveness of the Constitution depends on it. And as we've seen, the slipping and moving away from those values, that belief in God, that belief in an accountability after we die, that purpose for people to be alive, we have seen a decline in our standard of living, the happiness of our American people and our American way of life, an increase in crime, and an increase in measures and an increase in all matrices that equal bad for the American people. The direction we're heading in isn't going to change unless we do something different than what we're doing now. So we have to interject and change the direction. The churches have to be open and super accepting to the sins that this world now has. It is not a world that's the way it was in the 50s and 60s. This ideal of what we expected our people to come through the front of churches looking like. They may be pierced and they may be tattooed and they may have issues. And we need to be open-armed to these people because we can't change the foundational principles of our nation back in the direction that we need to if our churches and our spiritual people don't be a little bit more accepting and a little less judgmental. And that is what's chasing away the potential flock that you religious leaders need to have to lead. If we don't have flocks to teach because they're not coming to these churches, then we can't instill these values that he's talking about into our people. As the share of the electorate that is unaffiliated with any religion, often coined as the nons, has continued to grow over the last decade, accounting for 22% of voters in the 2022 election. According to data reviewed by the Seattle Times, those voters overwhelmingly prefer Democrat candidates, voting for the party over Republican House candidates 65% to 31% in 2022 midterm elections. The voters showed a similar preference during the 2020 election, with 72% voting for Joe Biden. A 2021 Pew Research Center report found that 29% of Americans identify as atheist, agnostic, or nothing in particular. A Harvard study found that atheists and agnostics, a subset of the nons, are more likely to make campaign donations, attend a political meeting, or join a protest, a high level of political engagement that makes them a powerful voice in the electorate. Those numbers don't look good for America and for the Republican Party, who is the base of the religious right, who represents the primary values of the religious right. So the only way to turn this thing around, given those numbers, is for the people who are religious, spiritual, and go to church right now to go out there and get more and more people into churches, into religion, into spirituality, getting these values taught into people who, as you can see, a lot of people aren't even being raised to even know it to start with. And that if we promoted this more worldwide, took a huge active role in taking back over this country with the values that made it amazing, we could make it even more amazing and then promote that to the world. But we're not going to do it by just letting it all slip away. And that's what we're doing right now. And in some ways, we're pushing people away from the churches as well because we're being judgmental. We need to bring all people to our churches. Thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. Thanks to my new subscribers. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks for watching. Later.